This is Jackson County Government Close-Up, your source for news and information from your county government. Join us this hour for in-depth conversation, viewer call-ins, and a chance to meet those in county government working for you.
Good evening and welcome to Jackson County Government Close-Up. I'm Tom Resepke. Over the next hour, we'll be focusing on the Jackson County Airport. We've got some good stuff to talk about. We are, of course, coming up on the busiest travel day of the year. That is the day before Thanksgiving. 1 week from today will be the Wednesday before Thanksgiving. So we'll get an update on that holiday travel. We'll also give you a look at Casper, the friendly cloud seeding balloon, and we'll also take a look inside the classic KC-97 fuel tanker, which is a Jackson County Airport landmark. All right, so over the next hour, we will be talking about the airport, and time to introduce our guest, and it is the Jackson County Airport Authority Director, Bern Case. Bern, thanks for being here.
Pleasure to be here.
All right, and you're flying solo. Normally you've got Kim Stearns with you or somebody else, but it's a solo flight tonight.
It is. Everybody gets busy at this time of the year, and I ended up being alone.
All right, well, thanks again for being here, and we'll touch on the airport over the next hour. All right, so let's start with the holiday travel that's coming up 1 week from now. Things certainly get busy. What can people expect?
You know, the Wednesday before Thanksgiving is a very busy day. Christmas, you have a longer build-up and a longer return, but on that Wednesday, a lot of people want to get to where they're going, and my advice is if you're traveling that day, get there early, get checked in. You can relax on the concourse. We even have food service there now, but don't try and time it to perfection, because if you miss your flight, it can ruin a nice weekend. Yeah.
And what are some of the do's and don'ts? And really I ask that from this perspective that, 10 years ago following 9/11, when the rules for traveling really changed dramatically, people had a hard time with the change. What can we put in checked luggage? What can't we? And people really had to pay attention. 10 years after the fact, do you think people have adjusted? Are people still having some problems?
For the most part, yes. We still collect, or TSA collects, way too many pocket knives. Part of it is people forget what they're carrying with them. It sure helps if you wear good travel clothing to where you can get your coat off without a big hassle and get your shoes off, and some of those things really make it simple. I noticed loafers have come back.
Yeah, exactly. Taking shoes off was something that was never thought of 10, 11 years ago prior to 9/11. Any changes in the foreseeable future on how things are regulated and that sort of thing?
I don't see regulatory changes coming, but I know we have down to chat a little bit about the body scanner. Yeah. And a lot of people have concerns about that, and we can go into some detail on it, but a lot more details are going to follow because TSA will be speaking to it. But we'll be seeing it in December.
Yeah. Again, just to touch on it at the top here, do's and don'ts. I know you say get there early. Certainly check your pockets.
People start carrying Christmas packages early because they don't want to ship them. Mm-hmm. If you're taking a package, that's okay. If you're taking it on board with you, make sure you're not taking toy weapons to the grandkids, because toy weapons count just like weapons. You can't tell the difference on an X-ray or even on a plane sometimes. So, and if you're bringing packages, don't wrap them on this end. If they can't tell what's in there, they're going to have to unwrap it. If it's in clear plastic and in its original container, makes it a lot easier for them and easier for you.
Yeah, good point. How long have you been the director there?
Excuse me.
Yeah, it's staggering, isn't it?
It is. I almost choked. It's the longest I've ever held a job, but I'll be 18 years in January.
Okay.
Same job, same location, and I've had a wonderful time. It's been fun watching the airport grow.
Yeah, and we've had you on the show many times, and I can remember year after year having you on. The counts in terms of passenger traffic were going up, month over month from the prior year, and that certainly has changed with the economy. But give us an idea, since the last time you were here a little more than a year ago, and how passenger counts are and how things are going at the airport in regards to that.
Last year came back some from 9/11 and from the economy. Our all-time record was a few years ago now, but we've built back towards it. This year we're behind last year, but not very much. We're down 2.5% for the year, and when you look at the economy, that's not bad.
Yeah, yeah. Can you do anything in regards to that to get passenger counts up? How much do you have the ability to change that?
In the arsenal that we have, we're always encouraging air service. We strive to be as competitive as we can for the airlines. For example, right now I'm working real hard on next year's budget, and we want to reduce our landing fees. They're on a formula, but they're a little higher than where we want because we're competing for new service. And some of the service is highly secret, some of it's been in the paper, but we know that Allegiant Airlines bought 757s with the idea of flying to Hawaii. And we know our community would never get conventional Hawaii service, but with Allegiant's less than daily service, possibly once a week, we could fill that 757. And we're posturing for that because they look to airports where they can operate the most efficiently, as do all the airlines, and we strive to meet all their needs. But we're constantly trying to find better service. As you know, they took a sabbatical on the service to Phoenix Mesa. We hope to get that back. We have a target list of things we're trying for. With the economy down, things don't move quite as fast, but believe me, we don't stop trying.
Yeah, so if I get you right, and I don't want to put the cart before the horse or the plane in Hawaii before it lands, but I mean, possibility of going direct from here to Hawaii?
That's what we're shooting for.
Yeah, incredible. All right, so I'll get the question out early. When's Southwest coming, right? Isn't that the most common question you get?
That's the question I get the most when I speak at service clubs, and you know, Southwest is a great airline. Let me balance it for us, though. Allegiant won't fly anywhere where Southwest flies. So we do have Allegiant because we don't have Southwest, but Southwest goes into larger communities. Their protocol is to go in with at least 12 flights a day. If they came in here, they'd have to have every single passenger we have, and we'd probably lose half of our destinations at least. And so we have to build a little bit more to get them, but I think someday we may. If they ever can't change their corporate strategy on having feeders, we'd be ideal for a feeder for Southwest, but we just don't have the population base. It would take every passenger we have and some to meet their need.
Yeah. You've done a good job in regards to, and help me if I'm wrong here, really the idea is to get people from Medford to a hub. So whether that's Portland or Denver or Salt Lake and that sort of thing, right?
That is the goal for this size airport in today's world. And you know, when I arrived here, and like I say, it's been a lot of years ago, but we had nonstop service to 2 locations, Portland and San Francisco. And by working on competition, working on our cost, working on our marketing, right now we're at 7 or 8. We've been as high as 9 hubs, and that really helps the service.
Yeah, yeah. So, all right. Well, we'll look forward to possibly. I'll help fill that plane to Hawaii.
Yeah, I have a lot of volunteers to be on the inaugural one.
Any other thing to talk about in regards to that situation in terms of airlines and additional flights or anything along those lines?
Just we have active conversations, and that one I don't hesitate to talk about because it's been in the news already, and everybody knows that they bought the aircraft for that purpose. But we have 2 or 3 other destinations that we work on and put packages in and stay in contact with the airlines and have regular conversations, and it's very competitive.
Yeah, yeah. And along those lines as well, what other cities are in similar size or airports to Medford that have a similar type philosophy?
We compare ourselves statistically to several, and some of them do what we do and some of them don't. Yeah. Some of the things we do we almost keep secret, but we compare well with Pasco, with Missoula. We compare ourselves a little bit to Fresno. They're bigger than us, but we have some similar circumstances. And nationwide, we compare probably best with Chattanooga.
Yeah.
And I watch them closely because their passenger numbers mirror us almost exactly. And they have a lot of the same opportunities and challenges.
Yeah. You've gone social. So the
Yes.
Jackson County Airport Authority now has a Facebook page.
We do.
And it is, facebook.com/Jackson County Airport Authority. And you already have almost 70 likes, if not more, already. What was the reason for getting a Facebook page out there?
I started hearing about it in airport conferences a while back and thought, it's time to nudge into that. And it gives people a chance to really correspond with us. And if they have a question, even if it's not exactly positive, it gives us a chance to respond directly. It also gives us a chance to communicate unedited. I mean, the media covers us a lot, and I appreciate that, but the media will talk to me for 3 minutes and decide what 17 seconds they like the best. On Facebook, we can give our full answer.
Yeah, and if you go on there now, you will certainly find enough good stuff to check out. The 9/11 flag ceremony that was held a couple of months ago, and we'll show some of that event here on this show. You can see a piece of that. You can take a closer look at the KC-97. I know there was an incredibly beautiful night shot of that fuel tanker there. So, yeah, really allows you to have that discretion, huh?
And my staff, Sue, leads on that, and she's excited. I mean, it's almost like she opens a little package every morning and sees what's being said and what's being asked, and gives us a good opportunity to communicate, and that's a lot of what we need to do.
Yeah, very good. And off to a good start, as I mentioned, in terms of likes. And,
Yes.
and that really is the key. And you have almost 70 of the ACE program. Those supporters certainly helped out.
Yes.
Yeah. All right, very good. And of course, I need to mention as well, you can get plenty more information on the Jackson County Airport at jacksoncounty.org and go to the department section and get down to airport, and you'll get a lot of the necessary information there.
You mentioned ACE too. I should give a 30-second commercial there. It's not airport operated. It's actually an independent corporation, but it stands for Airport Community Enthusiasts. It's Friends of the Airport. And we have over 6,500 members, and it's real easy to join. But if you are a member, you do get a parking pass for 11 spaces that we have just for ACEs that are sponsored. Now, those aren't to leave town, but anybody can park there for up to 2 hours, and it's really a nice, convenient thing. Plus, you get a nice newsletter via email.
Yeah. Certainly at the airport, many changes, the new terminal over the last several years. Happy with those changes, and things really working out the way you planned?
I'm very happy with the terminal. Very positive comments. It's user-friendly. It's security-friendly. It tries to take some of the challenges out of security by space and by the way it flows, and we've been really pleased with the results.
Yeah. And you set trends for other airports to follow in terms of, whether it's the restaurant that's on both sides of security, yeah?
That's worked out really well. The Sallyport that lets food out without letting things in, so that we get two restaurants with one kitchen. And we've been copied on that. Fort Wayne, Indiana is doing it. Anchorage is doing it. And we're pretty pleased that it's something that can help the industry.
Yeah, all right, well, something that others may copy as well is this piece right here. And of course, this time of year, fog can always be a hassle at the Jackson County Airport. And for many years, the airport has been cloud seeding, using dry ice to get rid of the fog and get rid of the clouds so planes can take off and land. But new regulations have forced changes in the way the airport can seed. So Byrne and his crack team have put together an innovative answer to that problem. And let's take a look. Let's start with a little bit of history. The airport, you were always trying to seed it to get rid of the fog. How come you can no longer do that?
They started making the aircraft that was dispersing the dry ice fly an instrument approach. He used to just make a hole in the clouds and turn around and land. And they said you can't do that unless you have 3 miles visibility. So he had to go out 25 miles and 10,000 feet. Sometimes they were starting to ice up, which is not good for aircraft. Sometimes by the time they got back, it had filled in. Anyway, long story short, for safety reasons, we gave up that system. But we still knew we had fog, and so we started analyzing different ways that we might do it, and Casper came into existence. And now we'll be able to run this balloon up 500 feet, and it has a basket that'll disperse the dry ice, and we'll troll up and down the runway. It'll be tethered to an operations vehicle, and we'll be able to hit exactly the spot on the runway that we want. We'll actually use less dry ice and have it right in the area that it's needed the most.
Anyone else doing this?
No, no. There's some other systems to try and get rid of fog, some with gases. One airport tows a hot flare behind them, but again, you got a plane flying. So we think this will, if it works well here, we think others will use it.
A year ago, you thought maybe you were ready to use it, but that wasn't the case. How come last winter you weren't able to use it?
Well, FAA, the regional people gave us an approval pretty quickly, but the air traffic control people are on an international system already where they like us to meet international standards. And so we had to put it through a long evaluation process, and we've gone through that, and we got our approval this summer, and this year we're ready to go. And it's been so effective so far that Casper's just scared the fog away, but when the fog comes, we're ready for it.
Right now, Casper is inflated, so do you keep it inflated at this time of year?
Yeah, we inflated it a week or so ago, and we actually have to put additional helium into it periodically to keep it fully charged. But we're set up now so that in the morning at 4 o'clock we evaluate. The first flights take off at 5. The tower opens at 6. We can be ready at 6 o'clock to be cloud seeding. Yeah, we have it on a spool and a winch, and we can let it up to 500 feet, which gives us a good ceiling for aircraft to operate under. And it's tethered, in fact, it's double tethered to a truck for safety. We can get it up or down in 90 seconds. And so we can bring it down and add additional dry ice. We can change batteries in the motor. We can do whatever needs to be done, go back up, probably in less than 10 minutes. When we were doing it with an aircraft, you had to land, you had to taxi. Sometimes it was an hour in between runs. Now we do have a smaller payload, we carry less dry ice, but we'll be able to switch it out really fast.
Now this is the actual instrument that distributes the dry ice, yeah?
Yes, this is the basket is what we call it, but this disperses it evenly and in the pattern that we need.
I look at that basket and see that it's small, in my opinion. That can carry enough dry ice to get the job done?
Well, we have a balance in it because we have to keep this light enough for the helium balloon to lift it well. And so it'd be nice if it was bigger, but this will last about 30 minutes. And usually we can clean up the area that we need to clear in that amount of time. If we don't, it can come down in 90 seconds, reload it, and go back up in 90 seconds. So we don't lose much time. There's an auger that comes down through here. And then this spins, and this is what flings the dry ice. And it's on this battery-powered motor. We've tested it, but not in fog, but that part works really good. And we'll actually get it up to altitude of 500 feet, again tethered. And then with a remote control device like this that people use like for model aircraft with an actuator, when we're all set and in the right position, we turn it on from the truck.
And again, this is something that you've built from scratch in essence, right? This isn't an idea born here.
Yeah, this was done in-house. My operations guys, my maintenance guys have put it together. This is the second version. We still have the first version as a backup, but this is a little prettier than the first version.
How'd the name come about?
You know, we like the name because it kind of looks like Casper, and so we reverse engineered it, and it stands for, I hope I can get this right, Cable Attached System Providing Effective Release, Casper.
Advertising opportunities?
You know, maybe, but we're only using it in low visibility, so that'd be a hard sell, but I wouldn't rule it out.
There you have it, Casper, the friendly cloud seeding balloon. Impressive stuff. So that's, you know, again, and I brought it up in that piece there, you guys built this thing from scratch, right?
We did, and it's really exciting. we never wish for fog. Fog is not good for the airport. But I have a few of the guys that worked on that are so anxious to see it work that I'm not sure they're not praying against me.
Yeah, and yeah, you haven't had an opportunity yet, have you?
We haven't. We haven't. It's been warm. The other thing that people have to realize too is if we get warm fog, we can't do anything about it. The fog has to be below 32 degrees, but if it drops below that, we'll clean it up.
Yeah. All right, so if this works and other people catch on to it, can you patent this thing and take it from there?
You probably could. It belongs to the county.
Yeah.
You know, they have intellectual rights on what we do.
Mm-hmm.
But so few airports would use it worldwide that I don't think you'd benefit from that. But I'll tell you, if it helps some airports stay open and makes them safer, we're all for it being spread all over.
Yeah, I think we've all been subject to a fog delay, and I've certainly flown from Portland, hovered over Medford, and had to fly back to Portland to spend the night. So that apparatus is definitely a welcome relief, and really, in way to be on top of it. You knew the regulations were changing, and you had to do something, and your team was able to put that together.
It'd be a lot safer. I mean, the guys that flew the aircraft did a fantastic job, but sometimes they iced up, sometimes they had a hard time landing themselves. That can be a challenge. So this is tethered and safe, and nobody has to even leave the ground to do it.
Yeah. All right, the last question I threw at you on that piece was advertising opportunities, and so we'll transition into the tower. And you know, the talk lately, it's come out that you're interested in getting some advertising on the tower. Tell me more. It's more than just advertising and putting up, you know, a Coca-Cola sign or something like that, right?
Yeah. In fact, I try to get people that are talking about it to use the term branding because you know, if I went by what I'd heard in the media, I don't think I'd be for it myself. But actually, we have a corporate sponsor that's talking to us that would like to put their logo up there. And it's an aviation organization that would stand with us and feel very good about being part of the county. And
I think we have some video of the tower that we can play while you talk, and just to give an idea just how visible it is.
Yeah, and it has 4 sides. It'd be probably the best billboard in the community. And it could be seen from aviation users on the airfield, from the runway. It can be seen actually from clear across the field over adjacent to Costco and Lithia, as well as seen from Biddle from both directions. So it would show, and as it went up, a lot of people used the term iconic, and it definitely is iconic, and it lines up perfectly with some of those roads. So the exposure would be good. And you know, a lot of years ago, very few things were branded, but now most stadiums have a branding name. A lot of communities have brands, and it's what we're looking for is very tasteful. And when you use the term advertise, some people picture neon lights advertising a bar or something distasteful, and I can tell you that will never happen in the county or at the airport. What we're proposing is very tasteful and positive. Our meetings with the city are not about that, and it's not really their goal, I'm sure, to censorship. In fact, that would not be appropriate. But everybody is interested in it being good, and that it will. The other thing that comes into play is the reason we're meeting with the city is, as a building in the city and a permitted building, we have the right to put a sign on it right now. But they base the size of signs on the width of a building. So a building 100 feet wide, you take that times 2 and they'd get 200 square feet. And that makes a nice sign for a 1-story building 100 feet long. The tower is only 34 feet wide at the widest point, but it's 100 feet tall. But the size sign that we would be eligible for under the criteria would look like a postage stamp. I mean, it just wouldn't do it. So my meetings with the city so far, and with my meeting tomorrow night with the city council, we're just asking kind of for parity based on the square footage of the building versus the width. And they have the ability to make an exception doing that for us, and we're going to ask them for that exception.
Yeah, and this show is live on November 16th, Wednesday evening, and so you're meeting with the council tomorrow on November 17th. Right,
November 17th.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, you're able to put something up there because you own that that tower.
Yeah, all the regulations allow a sign,
Yeah.
but the size of the sign is not appropriate for the square footage of the building and wouldn't be a good branding.
Yeah.
And so we're looking for a larger sign than what the current regulations allow. And we've applied for an exception and worked with staff and with the city and trying to give the city council the opportunity to make a good decision.
Yeah, and it's important to note, as the airport, you are responsible for generating your revenue, correct?
Oh, absolutely. In fact,
Yeah.
let me speak to that. The airport is an enterprise fund or an enterprise department of Jackson County. We operate an enterprise fund. That means we don't get any local taxes. Now, we qualify for some grants, but the people really pay for those on their tickets with user fees. But locally, we have to generate money, and we do it through parking, we do it through conventional advertising in the terminal, we do it with rent-a-cars, we do it with airline fees. But the more money that we can get from alternate sources other than the airlines helps us to keep costs down so that we can be competitive and go after things like Hawaii. And that's important to us. So, and like I say, I don't have the agreement in place. They're waiting for us to see if we can get the sign big enough.
Yeah.
But it could generate $250,000 over 10 years.
Yeah.
So it's a nice little chunk of money.
Yeah, more to come on that, and interested to see how it plays out. Thanks for sharing that. I know it's a touchy subject, but
like I say, the word that's been out there, I don't think I'd be for it either. So getting the correct word out, it matters a lot to me. So thank you for asking.
Yeah. Upgrades at the airport, we talked about earlier, scanners, and there are full body scanners that will be going in a couple of weeks. Is that right?
Yes, and you know, they've had publicity nationwide, and I know that the TSA will be speaking to this a lot more in the next few weeks. But we know they're coming. In fact, they're scheduled to arrive on December 5th. I don't know that they'll be operational immediately because people have to be trained and certified. But the one thing I wanted to say about it is when this product initially came out, people felt that it was way too revealing of one's body, and I can understand that. And TSA regrouped and reorganized and tweaked the computers, and now versus saying Tom's body or Burns' body, which could be shocking to Burns' body in particular, everybody's body will look the same. And they have another term they're using, but to me, it looks sort of like a gingerbread man. But if you have a weapon hidden in your armpit or in your belt, it's going to show up, but it's not going to isolate your body features and different from anybody else's. And so we think it's pretty positive. And the one thing that it does is it makes the boarding process faster, because right now, if they can't determine something after the magnetometer, or if they have a reason to look closer, they go to the pat-down. And to do the pat-down right and with discretion and separating people and everything, you're talking a 5 or 6 minute process. With this, you can step into the machine, go like this, they go, you're cleared, and you're on your way. So. But I should also say this, some people are concerned about machines. We've been assured they're safe. I'm not an expert on that. There's strong opinions on both sides. But you don't have to go through the scanner. If they have a reason to be concerned about your particular screening, you can still step back and say, I'd rather be patted down. And so you have the alternative still.
Yeah. And if I get it right, so you're saying step into the machine, the image of your body that's revealed is a standard shadow that everyone would see, whether you walked in, I walked in, my wife walked in, it would be that, but still to the point where it would indicate where on the body maybe you have something that is hidden. Interesting. Yeah.
And you know, it's come a long way since they first brought it out, and some of those first videos were a little shocking and scary. And
so, is it one full body scanner? Does it matter?
We'll have one.
Yeah, yeah.
And we're a small airport.
Yeah.
I think eventually they'll probably try and get us two, so we have redundancy. But once we get used to using that and it goes down, the backup will still be the pat down. So, but it's a very dependable mechanism, and I think we'll be fine.
Yeah, good. All right. I think construction and the airport go hand in hand, or it just seems like for many years there's constant building and renewal of what's going on out there, which is great. And I notice as I drive in now, there's some buildings as you're driving towards the terminal off to the right near FedEx. What's going on there?
Yeah, with Connect Oregon 2 money, which came out 2 cycles ago now, this is the last phase of that project, which was designed to be multimodal, make transportations work together. And this particular, we're calling them freight terminals, will make it easier for the small box carriers to sort and handle the freight once versus taking it off-site, downtown or wherever they take it, and handling it 3 or 4 times. So it should help them with cost and with freight delivery and with speed. So.
Yeah, and we've got some video of that worth rolling as well. Some of them have already been completed and still working on others, is that right?
Yeah, none are exactly completed, but we're very close.
Okay.
December 1st, building 1 should be done. And shortly after that, building number 2, which is to the south of it. And we actually have a tenant on lease for one section of one building, and we have a tenant talking to us about the entire other building. And there's a few challenges with that lease yet, but our goal is to get those leased and have them help, again, put money into the enterprise fund to keep fees down.
Yeah, and again, just to better understand it, I think most people don't understand the freight side of travel and that sort of thing. So these will allow freight to not have to be sent out and sent back, correct? It all will be handled right there.
That's exactly it. And I have one carrier doing it this way already. FedEx has their own facility there, and stuff comes in, it goes on the right trucks and goes to the home of the business. Right now, several of the others, the other large one is UPS. Their freight comes in, it goes to Central Point, it then goes on the truck, it then goes to the destination. The trucks go back to Central Point to match it up right, and then out to the airport to the aircraft. So FedEx handles things one time, the others handle it either 4 or 6, depending on if there's return. And we'd like to do that for more people.
Yeah, makes sense, and very good idea as well. All right, any other jobs out there, any other construction things worth talking about?
A few years ago, people asked me, "Oh, Bern, what are you going to do? You've got the new terminal, you've got the new tower," and we still have things going on. Some of them are not as exciting as the terminal, but this year we completed a renovation of a taxi lane, which was a sizable project, and you have to do those every so many years. They handle a lot of weight. We have the facility you just mentioned, the freight facility. Mercy Flights completed their complete new building and had a great tour of it. We helped sponsor that. In fact, the year they put in for Connect Oregon money for that, we put in a very minimal package because they're on the airport and we wanted to support them, and they've done very good with that money, and that can save lives. Similarly, the fewer transitions with patients, the better. And now they've got the ability to handle their helicopters and their aircraft in conjunction with their ground ambulances very effectively. So we feel very good about that. We also have done a small project in our operations department. We built a building, we've grown the airport. The building houses more people now who are all very busy, but we expanded that parking lot, so that was good. And the other that is highly observable to people is at the corner of Terminal Spur and Lonsdale. We're doing phase 1 of a rent-a-car joint use facility, and that'll be completed in the next probably 60 days. The tanks are on order, but the first phase of that will be fueling, so that as they fuel the rent-a-cars, for those people who don't fill them up, they won't have to go a mile off the airport. And so again, we're building in effectiveness for them. In future years, we'll be putting in a car wash for them, and light maintenance bays, and some things so that they can handle all of that without going distances again. So, and that's funded by the rent-a-cars. They give us so much per rental day, and we spend that money for them, on them, and it's a great deal for both of us.
Yeah, so certainly, yeah, a lot that most of us don't even think about as we think about checking in our luggage or what have you, getting on the plane and going, but there's so much more to it all that makes everything work effectively. Recently, within the last couple months or so, you talked publicly about a 20-year plan. You had pictures and that sort of thing out at the airport. Why is it important to think 20 years out?
Well, you know, and let me speak to that a little bit. It's essential. If you build things in the wrong place and you have to move them, you're paying for it twice. So you want to get things right, and we believe in that. And FAA has a unique way of encouraging you to do that. You can't get any grant money for something that's not master planned. And so as we've built these things over the last decade, we were running out of things that were fundable, and it was not only a good time to plan, but it's essential for us to continue our flow of the grants that we're entitled to, because they're our citizens' money. And so we're in the master plan process. We're getting close to the end of it. In fact, there will be a presentation to Jackson County and the City of Medford and the City of Central Point the first part of December. And it's for them to see the final draft so that they can feel good about that. And then we'll work on the final document for FAA. And our goal is for those two cities in the county to make the master plan a part of their comprehensive plans, so that we all know what each other are doing and we can work in unison. And it's really important. For example, the city doesn't want to put towers in the wrong location, because we have approach corridors which have height restrictions, and we work real closely with both Central Point on one end and Medford on the other, and of course the county owns us. But it's going to be a good plan.
Yeah. Some of the elements of that plan, can you speak to any of that?
Yeah, and you know, it's been a fun process, because we had a couple public meetings where we invite the public to come and take part, and we've had participation with the public, and a great committee made up of people from governmental entities and citizens and users, and we all come together to kind of help it and also prioritize it. One of the things that sounds challenging to general aviation pilots is we will be closing our crosswind runway. And the reason we're doing that is it doesn't get enough traffic to be eligible for funding. It's only needed less than like 1/10 of 1% of the time, and that's by a very small amount of the aircraft, very light aircraft. And we've assured those pilots that if they get stuck in high winds, we'll still land on that same area, only it'll be called a taxiway, and it'll take a special clearance from the tower to do it. So we haven't lost it completely. But in doing that and converting it to a taxiway, it'll be fundable, and we're making a loop that'll go past the Forest Service tanker base and past two fixed base operators in a loop, so that we don't get so congested, particularly during the fire season. Yeah. When those bombers are coming and going and saving forest and saving structures and sometimes saving lives, we don't want them sitting there waiting for the other guy to come out of the cul-de-sac. And so a loop, and that's next on our agenda. In fact, that'll be taking place in the next year. Additionally, because we're closing the crosswind runway, sometime in the next decade, we anticipate putting in a parallel runway, so that if we have challenges or maintenance on the main runway, we'll have a backup that'll handle at least some of the aircraft. And my goal is to give enough justification to get that long enough so that in a pinch, the commercial airlines will have enough length on it to operate.
Yeah. And you have enough space out there to be able to handle that?
We're going to need to buy a little bit, but we know what, that's the other thing the master plan does, is it indicates and prioritizes the land that we need to get. So we do need a little bit more for that runway, at least for it to get to the length that we want to be able to achieve.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's talk about an aircraft that doesn't take off or land or need a runway anymore, and that's the landmark of the Jackson County Airport, the KC-97 fuel tanker that sits near Biddle Road. Ever wanted to take a look inside and get inside that, or even in the cockpit? You can, and let's give you a sneak peek right now. The KC-97 is certainly a landmark for anyone who drives past the airport on Biddle Road. We've got a much closer look at it now. Describe to me what's in this park area and a little bit about the KC-97. You know, there's plaques beneath us of a lot of the people who donated to the cause when we were renovating it. A lot of people involved, a lot of volunteers. So we turned it into a feature that can be used as a building, meets all building standards,
and kind of a park area here. People have barbecued, there's been a wedding, there's all sorts of parties, business meetings, and it was also dedicated as a Veterans Memorial, which took place a few years ago, and a place where the people can remember. And this particular aircraft and this type of aircraft has a tremendous history. It was built in about 1950 and served in the Korean time and the Vietnam time, and then did a lot of civilian work. So it's pretty tremendous history. We keep it secure, and yet we've made it convenient so the people can operate in it very effectively. And people were concerned about liability at one time, but we've made it very safe and ADA approved.
You wouldn't know it by looking at the outside, but what it looks like on the inside.
It's a lot of space in here. They've had sit-down dinners with pretty much the full 49 people.
Yeah.
So it's sizable and very unique.
What was the most unique use of this that you can think of?
Well, it hauled regular cargo, but they call it a KC, means that it hauled fuel, and this was one of the first in-air refuelers. And it was pretty exciting because it would actually, it's turbine driven, but it would actually refuel jets, and they'd get to a high altitude and then dive to get enough speed for the jet, so they'd do the fueling in a diving maneuver. So pretty exciting aircraft.
All right, how did it land here? How did we get it here?
You know, Jack Erickson, the former owner of Erickson Aircrane, had bought it from the boneyard down in one of the deserts for the engines. And he used those on another aircraft, and when he was done, there was actually somebody looking at scrapping it for him. And we approached him and asked him to donate it to the county for a tax write-off instead. And it took us a year or two, but we got the donation. And then the Air National Guard and all the people on the glass there helped us get it into a static display renovation, and then from there we've been able to meet building codes. So it's just been fantastic for all the people that use it.
And the cockpit's usable? I mean, can you?
It is, yeah. And a lot of kids go in there and just have a wonderful time.
So as part of the package, you can come up here in the cockpit and flip the switches and pretend to fly?
Yeah, and the young kids who have birthday parties on here, that's the highlight of it for them. And we've made it as safe as we can, and so that it doesn't get damaged. But and we have scout troops that have spent the night on here. They do their winter campouts sometimes, and I know they fly missions all night sometimes. It brings out the kid and everybody.
Yeah, so you can actually do an overnight in here?
Yeah.
It's a great opportunity. You know what, and the thing that stands out to me is that, yeah, like any airplane cockpit, there's a bazillion dials and switches and buttons and that sort of thing.
It's pretty fun.
And a unique story as well on getting that plane to where it sits now. It certainly landed at the airport, but eventually it needed to get to where it is now, and it was done, I don't want to say under the cover of darkness, but early morning light, yeah?
Yeah, you know, the media knew that we were going to move it, and I was getting calls saying we want to watch it. And, you know, my operations guys run the airport really well, but we don't move aircraft a lot. But we put in the foundations where we have it set, and we were all set to move it. But we had a little bit of anxiety about how smooth that move would work. So in June of that year, on the longest day of the year, the operations guys came in at first light, which at that time of year is like 4:50 in the morning. And by the time people went to work, it was in place. And we kind of hid the ball on that one, but we didn't want to be hanging it out there if we had challenges.
And if people want to use that, rent it out for parties or what have you, how do they go about doing that?
If they call our airport number, 541-776-7222, they can set it up. We rent it out about 100 times a year, and it's very reasonable. I think it's $75 for 4 hours. And because of that, we do a lot of birthday parties and a lot of special events, and we have a lot of business meetings in there. If somebody wants to get their staff away from the office so they can think creatively, that relaxes you to a whole new level.
Yeah, good idea. All right, well, you're watching Jackson County Government Close Up, and over this past hour we've been talking with Bernd Case, the Jackson County Airport Director, and we've got about 20 minutes or so to go, and I usually like to start to recap in case people have caught this show by channel surfing or that sort of thing. Coming up next week, biggest travel day, traditionally, the day before Thanksgiving. Want to give people maybe some do's and don'ts or things to look out for next Wednesday?
Yeah, plan ahead, dress for travel. Make it easy for you to take the metal out of your pockets and get your shoes on and off. And if you wear a coat, in fact, I'll tell you what I do when I'm in the line. My watch goes in my pocket. Everything goes into the coat that I possibly can do, and then I take the coat off and put it in the tray. When I get on the other side, I put the coat back on, put things back in my pants pocket.
Yeah.
But that helps a lot. Your shoes, don't wear something that's got 23 laces on it. It just slows everybody down, including yourself. And every day I see somebody hopping around on one foot. Sometimes TSA has a name for them, but it's a challenge. So but plan ahead. If you take packages, don't gift wrap them ahead of time for both Thanksgiving and Christmas. If they're going on board with you, they need to be able to be examined.
Yeah. All right, you just hit on something. So you've got to go through security when you fly?
Oh, yes, absolutely.
All right. Just wanted to get rid of that rumor out there.
Yeah.
We talked a little bit about the branding of the tower. Can you give us an update with that in terms of what's happening there?
Yeah, the tower's iconic. It shows up well, and we have a corporation that's interested in giving us some money to put their corporate logo up there and show that they stand with the airport and with the community. And since we're an enterprise fund and we utilize that money well to operate the airport, we're anxious to do that. The city has the licensing responsibility for that, and I get to talk to the city council tomorrow, which is the 17th of November, and explain to them why we think the sign should be bigger than what the ordinary regulation allows. And again, the current regulation is based on the width of a building, and since the tower is built like a golf tee, we don't have very much width, but we do have a lot of square footage, and it's a great opportunity, and I'm optimistic that the City Council will see the merits of our presentation. Yeah,
we'll look forward to the results on that. And the airport's gone social. So there's a Facebook page for which is exciting. Good place for information that you're able to put there, and it's facebook.com/Jackson County Airport Authority, and people can go type that into the line and get there. And already you've got some good response, right?
We have, and it gives us a chance to communicate back. If somebody has a question or a comment, we review it, not instantly, but we'll get back to them and give them an answer that everybody can hear. And some of the common questions will eventually be on there, and we'll probably have an icon where you can click on the common question, just have it immediately available, which will be a real plus for us. And some of the fun things at the airport we put on there.
Yeah. We'll encourage people to go to that, and some of the clips that we've been running tonight should be posted on Facebook, and we'll make sure that they get on there. The KC-97, we talked about Casper, the seating balloon, and we'll be waiting to use that balloon. Well, hopefully we don't have any fog, but when we do, it'll be interesting to see what happens with it. And a couple months back, on the 10th anniversary of 9/11, a ceremony was held at the Jackson County Airport to unfurl a flag, and it's the flag that was flying at the airport 10 years ago on 9/11. Byrne was able to hang on to that flag and has now hung it inside the terminal, and it'll be there permanently. I want you to take a look at how that ceremony went a little more than 2 months ago.
I'm Byrne Casey, Airport Director. For some unknown reason, back in 2001, I decided to save the flag that flew over the airport, and today we're going to give it a permanent location so that we can always remember how we felt then. I think you'll find this an uplifting experience today, and it's my pleasure to recognize elected officials that are here. We have County Commissioner, the County Clerk, city officials. We have members of the Airport Advisory Committee and past members. and a lot of friends of the airport, and we'd like to recognize each of you for being here. It's now my pleasure to turn the podium over to Commissioner C.W. Smith.
Thank you, Bern. Thank you all for being here. I think on September 11th, 2001, we all know where we were. I was the city manager in Lakeview, Oregon. And I remember turning on the little TV in the little trailer. I was there temporarily, and I remember turning on the TV. And I remember watching that. And for a minute there, I thought I was watching some kind of a horror movie. And then I realized it was the news, and it was the real thing. And I was just aghast. And of course, I called my wife and family and my son, who was in the Navy at the time. And I was spellbound and aghast, and it all strikes us as unbelievable as to how something like that can happen and what would cause people to do that. Little did we know at the time, there were passengers on another flight fighting for their life and heroically preventing another plane crash. As we know, they crashed in Pennsylvania. We also know that another plane crashed into the Pentagon, and there was additional loss of life. So it was a very dangerous and tumultuous time for our nation, for all of us to suddenly come awake with the realization that people will attack us for who we are, for what we stand for the friends we take in this world. It is the deep-seated kind of a cultural view that is destructive. It is absolutist, and it is violent towards all free people. So that's what we're here to do in one respect, is to pay homage to those that died and those that fought on that particular day to stay alive and keep the dream alive, and to remember those that died, those that were going about the business of what we're all about, having the freedom to do the kinds of things that they could do, men and women, people of all races, all creeds, all religions, all colors, people that could go about their business in a free society. So today, one aspect of why we are here is to talk about who we are, and we're still there, and we're going to remember those people. That particular time caused a lot of overreaction for a lot of folks. We didn't know how to react, and we did a lot of things probably we wish we hadn't. But the point is, we survived as a nation and a people, and we will continue to survive because the essence of freedom exists in each one of us. So that's why we're here, I would like to say. We want to remember the family, the families, the men, the bravery, the heroic actions. In one particular instance, there was a dog who was an assistance dog. He actually led people to save thousands of people out of the building. Unbelievable stories of heroism. It's what we're about, and I'm so proud to think that so many people would step up and go into that inferno, into those ashes, and into the depths of destruction, and do everything they can to save lives, and to do everything they can to try to make something good and do something good for those that were suffering and those lives that were lost. This is, in one way, a very sad moment. It's a commemorative moment for those who lost their lives. But I would like to ask you all to please recommit yourselves to the belief system of why and who we are as a people. We have lots of frailties. We have lots of faults. We have things that are in our country that we're not so very proud of. But the point is, those are the prices that we pay to be free, to make free choices in our society, like them or not. That's what we're about. That's what our great nation is about. With that, I would like to ask our Air Force cadets who are here today to please perform the ceremony of the unveiling of the flag. This is the flag that flew over the airport here, September 11th, 2001. I would like to please ask that we have a moment of silence.
And Bern, a good way to put a close to our hour program, a moving speech by C.W. Smith, a very passionate man. Some of your thoughts on that ceremony?
You know, the plaque that we put on the wall to tell why the flag is there says, "Let us remember how we felt on that day." And we're talking about the feeling of coming together. Then it says, "One nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all." And if a few people read that plaque over the years and remember what it means to be Americans, that flag will serve us for long into the future. And like C.W. said, we have challenges, but we have the ability to be a great nation and a great nation for good.
Yeah. You said at the beginning of the speech there, for some reason you kept that flag. Any idea why that happened, or is it just fate?
You know, I don't know. It's history, and we rotate those flags. We don't let them get shabby, and we show a lot of respect to the flag. But that one was not quite due to come down, but the thought crossed my mind that that's a flag that we should hold on to. At the time, I didn't know what we'd want to do with it, but we folded it and put it away, and at the 10th anniversary, in the spring, we started talking about an event, and the flag became the center of that.
Yeah, an absolute perfect idea. Any last thoughts on the show as we wrap up the hour?
No, it's always a great opportunity to be able to talk about the airport, and I always just like to thank the citizens of the region, because I can work as hard as I can, and I enjoy what I do. Like they say, it's not work if you love it, and I've been very blessed that way. But it's the people that make the airport go. If we don't fill the planes, we wouldn't have the better service that we do, and I can't do it without the support. And I can remember in 1994 kind of begging people to use the airport and talking about how much it cost to drive to Portland. And if you subtracted that from the ticket, it wasn't quite so bad. Well, now flights are more competitive and to more locations, and it's easier for people to support us. But I always remember that it's the people that make the airport. Without passengers, it's just a great big slab of concrete.
Yeah, well, very good. Bern Case, Airport Director, thanks for spending the hour with us.
Thank you.
All right, and thank you for watching. As always, with Jackson County Government Close Up, our goal is to give Jackson County residents a better idea of what is happening with their county government and to give you a up-close look. Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Tom Resepke, and we will see you next month. Good night.